In this episode of Build, we will be building a system that can charge your phone and power custom backlights. You will need these items, and these tools. First, start by measuring and marking the middle of the box. You should mark the side with the securing holes. Then drill a 3/8 inch centered hole. Now measure the diameter of the bar you would like to mount the box to. If you use measuring tape instead of calipers, take the circumference and divide it by pi to get the diameter. Then take the width of the box, subtract the diameter of the bar, and divide that number by 2. Note that the resulting number cannot be less than or equal to 3/8. Now take this measurement and mark a line from both edges. Then mark 0.3/4 of an inch from the ends, and drill 4 3/8 inch holes on each corner mark. Next, put 1/4 inch grommets in the top right hole, the middle hole, and the 2 bottom holes. Then attach the grip clip to the box with a nut, bolt, and a washer. Now take the screw ring off the switch and put it through the top left hole, screwing the ring back in. Now take the wires and wrap them around the screw holes so that the green wire in the diagram goes under the red one. Now take hot glue and glue the bridge rectifier in place so that the positive and negative leads are parallel to the sides of the box. And trim the ends. Now solder the green wire in the diagram to the left variable terminal of the rectifier. Next, take the LM2596 and wire it up to a 9-volt battery using some hookup wire. Measure the output of the LM and adjust it with a flathead screwdriver until the output is less than 5 volts. This will give us a buffer for overvoltage. Around 4.5 volts is good. Now attach longer hookup wire to the LM. This will be the permanent wire. Then solder the wires to the LM. Next, take a micro USB cable and cut the USB end off, leaving room for the port to be reused for the LEDs. Now strip the end of the wire and cut the green and white wires off at differing lengths, and slip a piece of heat shrink over the wire. Then shrink the heat shrink. Next, spin the positive and negative leads outwards and slip the wire through the top hole. Then solder the wires to the LM. Next, take a piece of 3M and mount it in the box. Then mount the LM in the box and hot glue everything in place. Now cut and strip the wire. Then solder them to the corresponding leads. Next, take the 2-prong cable, cut one of the ends off, and strip the cables. Then run the split ends through each grommet on the bottom, and tape the split so it won't split any farther. Next, take the other end of the switch and solder it to the left lead of the 2-prong cable. Then cut and strip a wire like this and fit it into the remaining lead of the rectifier and around the last 2-prong lead. Then solder it in place. Next, cut 2 pieces of heat shrink and put them on the 2-prong leads. Then solder the last lead and put heat shrink on all the leads. Now hot glue everything in place and close the box. Cut the other end of the 2-prong cable, run it through the back side rails, and attach the box to the bar. Next, make a hole in the bike bag and run the micro USB cable through it. Then cut the cable to length and strip the ends. Next, slip a piece of heat shrink on the wire and reattach the shortened cable with heat shrink. Then shrink the heat shrink over the wire. Next, flip the bike and run the 2-prong cable down the bottom beam and secure it with electrical tape. Attach the dynamo and run a cable through the screw nearest to it. Then flip your front wheel backwards to relieve some of the slack in the cable and attach the stripped ends of the cable to the dynamo by pushing up on the caps. Now take zip ties and secure the cable. Plug the battery in and slip it into the bag. Then slip heat shrink over the stripped ends of the wires you will use for the LEDs and shrink them. Then slip heat shrink over the wire and heat shrink it. Next, take your LED strip and detach the LEDs for now. Take the switch cover off to reveal the wiring . And mark the wire so you know which one is positive. Cut and strip the controller cable and the USB cable. Next, attach the two together with heat shrink and/or electrical tape. Now take the excess USB cable and cut, strip, and solder each wire to a pin with a piece of heat shrink. Insert the pins and tape them in place. The diagram shown explains which wire to put the pins in. Then put a piece of heat shrink over the tape pins and shrink the heat shrink. Next, cut and strip the other side of the wire and pull it through the hole from the inside all the way to the back of the bike. Now measure the strip to the length of the back side rail and cut 2 identical strips. Now cut the water coating away from one side of each strip and solder the wires to the corresponding colors on the LED strips. Make sure to put a heat shrink on all wires before soldering. Next, cut and strip 2 identical USB wires for the bridge and solder one of the wires to the end of the LED strip. Then heat shrink the connection. Now remove the sticky backing on the LED strip and attach it to the side rail. Next, measure and cut 2 identical LED strips for the backlight. Then solder the connections and repeat this process with another bridge wire to go across the wheel. Finally, attach the battery to the LEDs and watch it glow. Have extra LEDs? Why not use them for another project? I used the extras I had in my car.